Okay, I think this is it.
And we may be live. Bear with me just 1 minute. I never
Uh,
trust it until I see us pop up over. Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
I'm not seeing the chat here.
Carol, good morning, Carol. Good morning, Chuck McNeil. Good morning, Francisco, if you're still with us. That's fun to say. Uh, good morning, Tina. Good morning, my wife, Brenda. How is everybody today? Welcome. Dave's with us, Dave Harrell. You guys remember Dave? He's gonna when we get rolling here in a minute. He's got a whole he and um oh crap. Can't remember your name. Nichols, I can remember your last name. Uh
Nichols.
Chris.
Chris. Is it Nichols or McNichols? Or
Nichols.
neither? Nickel. Well, anyway, Chris is with us, and he's got Dave set up with a. You guys are going to be impressed with this, I think.
Hopefully,
And
we
I mean,
won't
it
have
looks
any
good
more.
here. Wait till you see it get close up. Get close up.
Are we going to have more slutty birds on the show?
So, what do you say?
Are we going to have any more slutty birds on the show?
Well, you never know. I don't plan on it this moment, but you just never know on this with our show. You never know what we're going to do. Hey, good morning, Diana. We got some folks from Canada with us today. Hopefully, you guys aren't
What's that feel?
getting burned out or smoked out, or I know there's some fires up your way somewhere. I was talking to another friend that lives in Minnesota, and he said their air was really bad last week from smoke coming down out of. I think he thought it was coming out of Canada.
Yeah, yeah.
Ugh. Well, Dave, how have things been going lately?
Things have been going well. Been busy in the throes of summer. Getting when we get to that point, actually, a lot of efforts going into an upcoming trip that we'll talk about here in a
Yeah,
moment.
I don't know if you can see the screen, Chris, but Tina said we have squirrels, dogs, and sometimes birds, all of which have been known to be slutty from time to time.
I can see it now.
So you just never know. I mean, we try to make sure everybody's got their parental permission slip signed just in case it gets a little on the adult content side. Not seriously adult content, but anytime the word propagation or breeding rituals or anything like that comes up, we got to make sure we're covered. Carol says that her skies are pretty hazy. On Thursday we could smell the fires. Oh, that's bad if you're getting that much smoke. Somebody told me that they actually walked out of their house one day last week, and I don't remember if this was in Minnesota or if this was somewhere else up there. I, and they said the air was, I mean, it was like fog. It was so thick,
Yeah.
it was like fog and hanging over. So
My
that
mom and
asked,
my sister live up in Erie, Pennsylvania, and it's been horrible there.
yeah.
It comes straight across the lake from.
Well, now that you mentioned it, that might have been in Pennsylvania where they were talking about because
Yeah.
I have talked to somebody from Pennsylvania recently. So Wednesday, Diana said Wednesday was quite smoky, but it's cleared up. And Diana, it's speaking, and her husband, who Mike, I don't know if he's here yet. He may be out after donuts. He's supposed to bring the donuts for the chat, but most of the time when he gets here, they're already eaten up. But they live in Canada, Manitoba, Manitoba. Tina said they could too. Tina and Chuck live in New York. They don't live where you were at, I don't think I have to look at a map, but they live near Utica in that general area. I don't know. I think that's east of where you guys. Dave just came. Dave just came back from a trip up there, sort of. That's actually a whole nother story, also.
I was in the Catskills area. That's Livingston Manor and Roscoe, New York.
Okay. Dave, I'll tell a little bit of this just while we're waiting. I'm seeing if Mark's going to make it in. Tina's asked again where you were, Dave. Say that again.
So we were in Livingston Manor and Roscoe, New York. They call that the Catskills.
Okay, that Tina said that's south of where they live.
South, okay.
Good morning, Mary Ellen. T-Town Mary Ellen is with us. Now she lives out in Oklahoma where the wind blows. Something across the plains.
Good morning, Mary Ellen.
But anyway, as I was going to tell Dave's tale for him a little bit, Dave went to New York with some friends, and the thing that everybody always hopes and I guess believes that won't ever happen to you happened to them. And one of the lady that he was with, the wife of the other guy, fell and broke her hip. Dave, did they determine that she did break her hip? She did, didn't she?
That is correct.
And spent 2 weeks or more in the hospital in New York?
Yeah, a little better than that.
And then they finally got back. They finally drove back home not long ago, actually, and turned out to be kind of a rough trip. I don't think. Did you guys get to do any fishing?
We did very little, and that's part of what we're here in a bit. What we're talking about. A lot of planning goes into these things, but it doesn't take but a moment for that trip to get rerouted severely. So
yes.
No, this happened really on the front end of the trip, and that's and obviously that took precedent over what we went to do, right?
Absolutely. And on that particular trip, Dave was up there. They'd gone up together in a car. They'd ridden up together. Before it was over with, Dave had to find transportation back to Tennessee, and then they came back down a couple weeks. They were there a couple more weeks after that. And anyway, trips you can plan and you can be careful as you can be, and you still don't know when that you're going to step on that banana peel and life's going to go to hell in a handbasket, basically. And that's kind of what happened on that trip. And that was a trip that had been planned for some time, which was, and I'm going to speak, Dave. I hope you don't mind me saying this, but it was I think it was sort of done in your Melissa's honor in a way, that you guys went on up there, and I'm sure at some point in time you'll all make up for it. So,
yeah, thank you, Tim.
It was, but it was, it turned out to be a rough trip. So we're hoping that's not going to be our case. What else do I have? Let me make sure I hadn't missed anybody popping in. Chris, were you able to get Ken that address?
Yeah. He said, okay. Here, I'll read you his response. Thanks. I might hop on in a few minutes. I'm not quite moving yet.
Well, it is Saturday morning. Some people don't get up and and get going this early in the morning on Saturdays. I can remember a time. Well, no, Brenda would probably say she can't remember that time. I was the guy that was bad about on my days off. I usually got up even earlier than I did when I was supposed to be going to work, and I don't think she always necessarily appreciated that quite like I did. Uh, and this like mornings when I do this, we start at 10 and I'm up at 6 and um, getting ready and trying to get out here and trying to make, well, inevitably I have a few things left to do. And hopefully I got everything done today. But so Dave, and for everybody, again, hoping to hear from Mark soon. But if he doesn't make it, we'll go ahead and we'll tie some flies and we'll talk about some things anyway. Yeah, like I said, I think he's coming. I think probably something's just got him delayed. Let me say something else before I go too far in here. I've had some computer / internet problems this week, and I think I fixed it yesterday. I think I figured out what was really going on. So hopefully that won't happen, but it is possible that in the middle of all this, my computer may shut down and or we may just go blank. But I think yesterday I was on the phone with the since I mean, explain this in my library. I have different internet than Brenda has down at the house, and that's a long story about why. But anyway, but when I had this hooked up, I have fiber optic cable all the way from the pole, all the way from wherever to the house, the library, and it's always been, I think, the best internet I've ever had. Well, I know it is. And in fact, I think it probably rivaled anything I ever had at work as far as speed goes. And I check it occasionally, and it pegs the so-called speed needle, and it's always just been very impressive. Well, the last couple of days, I started having these glitches where something was going on, and I wasn't getting out, and I thought my computer was starting to fail, which it could still be. But then I checked my internet, and my internet was just barely coming through. And I thought, what in the world is going on? And so I called the cable company, and they ran a check, and they're able to check from the pole into the house, and everything. I was getting a full gigabyte of internet, even though I don't get quite that much. But the whole gig was hitting as he put it, hitting the wall here. And I got to checking, and he said, he wanted me to check a couple other things, so I did. And in the end, I went over and was looking to see if I could put my laptop. I was going to plug it in directly to the router to make sure that everything was working there, and to see if it was my computer. And in the process of doing that, I found out, one, I didn't have the right plugs now on this because my laptop doesn't have any of those kind of plugs. But in doing that, I unplugged the cables and put them back in. And after that, everything started working. And I think what had happened is I had been over there bumping around with the bookshelf, and I have a feeling that I had maybe dislodged that internet connector, and I believe that might have been it because it's been working great ever since then. So, hey, Jason Thibodeau, we've got some Louisiana folks with us now.
Nice.
Dave goes to Louisiana area sometimes, of course, down along more along the. Jason lives out near. I don't know if are you Shreveport, Jason, or south of there? I can't remember now. But Dave goes out there and goes, what, redfish?
I do.
Fishing, Dave?
I do.
I saw a guy. I mean, this is a fishing story, and this will be the last one I'll tell till things, and we'll get started. I saw a guy. I don't know where he was at on the coast, and they were fishing with mullet about, I don't know, this long. They weren't fly fishing. They were short. In this case, they were fishing off the beach, and they were carrying the bait out on a not a kayak, yeah, a kayak. As far as I don't know how far out they were going and dropping it, several hundred yards off the beach. And this guy hooked into one. He caught a couple of sharks about yay big, which is not too unusual. But he caught a redfish that looked to me like was about 3 feet long. Do they get that big?
They most definitely do.
He was. I didn't think it was that big until he was holding it and didn't look like he was cheating. It really looked like it was a pretty good sized fish. All right, let's see here, guys. We are going to let me share my screen with you, and we'll sort of go into semi-presentation mode here, and we'll talk about some things. And like I said, Mark hopefully will show up. And a 1 and a 2. And of course, when I do that, I can't see anything that I need to see to do the presentation with. There we go. That should be better. So that's just my opening slide, of course. And go through some house cleaning here, Dave, if you don't mind. Everybody, if you don't mind, hit the like button. I don't know, it helps share out the channel some. Everybody knows, and I say it pretty much every week, we're not trying to grow a huge channel, but we'd like to spread our message out there as far as we can. And subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and leave a comment, and at least 8 words. If you leave 8 words, then apparently that kicks us out into a whole new logarithm, and it just changes everything, or algorithm, excuse me, not logarithm. And who knows? I don't know if that's true, but that's what they say. Algorithm, and it just changes everything, or algorithm. Oh, I hear an echo.
You hear it now?
No, well, I don't know until I talk. Nope, it's gone. And that's okay. It wasn't bouncing. I was just hearing myself twice in my head. So anyway, as we have been discussing, and many of you know, we are going to Dave and Shannon, who I think you've met both of those gentlemen on the previous show. I know you have Dave, and we're going out to Wyoming, and we're going to go fish. They're going to go fishing. I'm going to go videography. I can't say that. That's a mouthful. And we are going to go after. So what we're going to do, what we're working on right now, is Dave and Shannon and I are going to hop on a big jet plane, and we're going to fly from over here in East Tennessee, and we're hopefully going to get out here in this far corner of Wyoming. We're actually going into Utah. And I didn't put Salt Lake City on the map, but Salt Lake City is the nearest, biggest airport to where we're going. So we're going to Salt Lake City. And those of you that have been on the show before or been with the show know that when I go out there, that's where I come and go from. And we're going to drive up to where Mark lives and set up base camp there, basically. And then we're going to go after these 4 fish. And this is what's known as the Wyoming Cutt-slam. So it's the Grand Slam of cutthroat trout in the state of Wyoming. And I found this little map on the Wyoming Game and Fish's webpage. So we're hoping to catch Colorado cutthroat, Colorado River cutthroat, Bonneville cutthroat, Snake River cutthroat, and Yellowstone cutthroat. And so here's kind of some of the things you got to think about when you're getting ready to go on a trip like this. And I haven't asked Dave about this, so I guess I will now. But so you want to go fishing in Wyoming. And you want to catch at least one of each of these 4 fish. So you go on. First thing you got to do is go online and buy a fishing license. Dave, have you done that yet? I don't care if you have or not. I'm just wondering if you've gone through that process.
I have not, but that is part of the pre-planning. That's the thing I'll usually do right before, and I do that way now because, well, it's so much easier. All of these game and fish departments for whatever state you're fishing, you can go online. Okay, I've never bought a Wyoming fishing license, but once you kind of go through that process once, they'll always know who you are. So we do that for the different states that we go in. If we ever get back, we'll be in the system and can do that. So, part of the planning there is how many days you're going to be fishing. And, some states have a 3-day license, a 5-day license, or what have you. So we'll be able to mix and match and cover the days that we know we're going to be fishing.
And you made a good point. I bow hunted in Wyoming in maybe 1998. Might have been the last time or one of the last times I went out there and hunted. And I haven't had any kind of a hunting or fishing license out there, I don't think, since then. And I popped online not so long ago and was just looking at I was looking at getting what it was going to take if I went hunting out there again with Mark, because some of it's changed, mostly the pricing, but and boom, they had me still in the system. All I had to do was update my address, and which I had obviously moved since then. And, there I am. So I can go in there and set up and do whatever I want to do. And on this particular, as an example, if you want to go after this cutthroat Grand Slam, and I'll show you, well, I did on my thumbnail, you saw that the certificate they will award you if you catch them. You apply for that. I guess kind of going in, you let them know I guess I would say you're sort of letting them know ahead of time that, hey, I'm coming out and I'm going to do this. But maybe you don't have to. But I know to apply. No, let me back up. I'll say that again. To apply for it, you need to have a fishing license first. Because I was looking at it and it said, do you have your fishing license? And I'm like, well, no, I guess I don't. So I guess I won't. I was just going to look at the process. So after you get your license and again, you can wait until you catch the fish and you can apply, and they'll issue this certificate. They don't charge anything for that. It's just something they do. And I noticed also, Dave, and I didn't know this before, and I don't know who was first, but I think it was Wyoming. But Utah now has a Cutt-slam too of some sort. I don't know. It's different. It's a different 4 species. Maybe the Bonneville is probably on there. I don't know if any of the other 3 are or not. And we've talked about this a little bit before, but it's all about, these are all subspecies of basically the same fish, and but they're unique enough that you can tell them apart. I mean, you can just look at these photos or these images on the screen and kind of tell that, they don't look exactly alike. They've all got a lot of spots and somewhat similar tails, but there's all kinds of little details, but the colorations are one of the main ways to look at it. So after you do all that, then you got to sort of sort and pack your gear. And Dave has got, well, fishing poles to be taken, and I don't know. Did you decide whether you were going to take any fly tying stuff just in case?
We are.
I thought you might.
So again, part of the preparation, is to get there with what we need. So any trip, everyone on here today is taking a trip, right? We've all gone places. We go on vacation. There's those kind of aspects that we all plan for: lodging, transportation, food, right? Those logistics. How do we get four people to the same place at the same time? So all of that requires some front end loading, right? You don't wait till the day of and say, of course, let me see if I can get an airplane ticket. So all of the transportation, the lodging, all of that, we've all gotten taken care of. Then you kind of go to the next step of that, which is, well, what's the weather like there? So clothing becomes a thought, and more so with airplanes. If folks have flown lately, there's weight limits that you check, you carry on. Well, how do you get all of that from point A to point B, right? We've even gotten down to the point of carrying on as best we can, carrying on those elements, i.e., the fly rods, the flies that go in the event something were to happen to the luggage. Okay, I went with the friend last year to the Bahamas for a bone fishing trip, and I carried rods and reels that I needed for the trip. The person I was with checked these things. So we get to Nassau, and we're going to take this little puddle jumper over to where we're actually fishing. We get to Nassau, and guess what? We got there, and the luggage didn't. His luggage didn't. And that was
his fishing gear
component of the whole trip. I mean, it's hard to fish without a rod.
Yeah.
So we're learning, as what do we not want to be separated from, and what if the luggage did get lost? When we land, what can we replace and keep going, right, to salvage this whole trip, rather than throw our arms up and say, oh, well, this didn't work, let's go home. Have a contingency plan. I can buy clothes, I can buy socks and what have you, right?
Yeah.
When I get, the state of Wyoming does sell such things. So, but the personal gear that you packed is kind of another element of this, because in a destination trip like this, which fly rods are appropriate for what we're doing there, right?
And let me explain something real quick.
Please.
Dave, I don't mean to interrupt, but I have to believe it. Someone here is sitting there thinking, how in the hell they get fishing rods on an airplane? Well, Dave, fishing rods are specialized now to the point where Dave uses 4 or 5 piece fly rods, I think, so you can take them apart, and they pack down into a small carry-on luggage size package, so you're not looking at a 9-foot fishing rod trying to get it in the overhead bin. Obviously that wouldn't work. But anyway, that I just wanted to explain that in case anybody wondered about the fly rods. That they're using nice multi-piece fly rods that tear down and you can carry them on board. Kind of like Mark's takedown bow that he built before he went to Africa. If any of you remember that, he didn't want to get separated from his bow by putting it in the baggage. So he made a bow. He built a bow that came apart, and he could carry it on board in two pieces. And they could, he could take it in that way, and not check it through the baggage. It probably would have been fine, but like Dave said, you never know when it's not going to show up. Anyway, go ahead, Dave.
No, perfect thought. As what's essential, little things I think about. Could you get there and rent a rod and a reel? Well, maybe, I don't know, but I happen to be a lefty, so all of my my reels are set up for me. So that kind of, I always think about that. That always creates yet another element of packing and making sure I keep things for me. Things are set up for me. These fly rods come, there's a lot of fly rods on the market. We in common terms call them fast, medium, and slow action rods. Well, I have a certain cast, okay, that some days work for me, and so I tend to prefer what they might call a slower rod that fits my casting style. So there's things that go in like that. In addition to the fly line, you have the monofilament leader, these type of things. Well, what weight should that be? And it gets into what flies are you using? So this, as Tim said, the 4 species of cutthroat. Well, we've added yet kind of another variable in there. The goal is to catch them on what we call a hopper dropper rig, meaning we're fishing hopefully going to get to fish a terrestrial grasshopper pattern, which should be abundant out there at that time of the year. Off of that fly, that's a fly you can see. Okay, it stays on top of the water, and then tied off of that fly, it would be what we call a dropper. It's something with some weight. It's subsurface. So we're fishing 2 flies at one time. So that's the kind of the goal of the trip is the Grand Slam and to fish for them that way. Now we'll have a contingency plan if something happens and that is not working out. So what are we doing now that might differ from other trips? One is I am building a fly box. I'll show it if I can, Chris. See if I can get to it here, folks. You tell me, Chris. Now I can't.
Yeah, I got it. It's showing up good, Dave.
So filling up this box, this is what I'm doing between now and leaving. These are flies we've done research that should be working when we get out there. So that's kind of an important aspect to it as well. What are we fishing? Tying up some of the, a lot of the fun of a trip is this pre-planning, and it's tying certain kind of flies that we might not tie here in East Tennessee every day. So
right.
That's kind of a neat part of it. It's the planning. Researches are typically what we would do if we've not Shannon and I have not been there, so we're going we're going to a place we haven't been. We're fishing waters that we have not fished. So typically, what we would do was watch YouTube videos. We would work the internet looking for information. We would be calling fly shops out there, getting information from them, talking to guides, talking the local knowledge, right? Because that's what we're coming
Right.
that we don't have. We don't have that local knowledge. We're coming in. We're coming in pretty green on that. We've never been. Do we need guides? Do we need a boat? All of this goes in to the actual planning. Here, we're very, very fortunate. I wish Mark was on the call. Mark Zorin is actually he lives out there, and he has offered to be our escort and our guide. So we have a wealth of local knowledge walking side by side with us. This is so unique, okay, for this trip. It's very cool. Tim has talked about Mark to me for, I don't know, 30 years. I lose track of time. He's talked about me to Mark. We finally got to, meet on one of these podcasts and hit it off. So, part of this is getting to spend time with Tim and Mark, and how all that's going to work. Another aspect that's exciting, Tim is coming, and Tim's already alluded to. He's coming with the audio visual. Typically, I'll get back from a trip, and I probably have, I don't know, a few pictures on my cell phone of me standing there with the fish. If I'm lucky, there'll be a picture of me standing there with the fish. That really doesn't capture all that went into the trip and things that we saw along the way and did and so forth. And it's exciting, especially as years go on and you begin to wonder, wow, how many of these kind of trips do I have left in me? It's kind of neat to think we'll really have something at the end of this that years from now, and we can share with others this epic trip that we went on. Tim, do you want to say something about it?
Yeah, well, that's good. Thank you, Dave.
Pull that off, Tim.
That's a good. You did a really good job of sorting through the fishing side of that. So like Dave said, one, you guys know I've known Mark for a long, long time, and while I guess it's odd for me to say so, we're lucky to have him out there, but we are. And I've been lucky to go hunting with him in states where I didn't live, and New Mexico and Arkansas a little bit, and then and Wyoming, and to be able to mine, so to speak, his wealth of knowledge about where he has actually caught all these fish, and fishes quite a bit. I mean, he likes to fish too, but he fishes for everything. Not just trout, and he fishes in many different ways. But so we're lucky there. But also, like Dave was just saying, they're right now what they're doing. They, as in Dave and Shannon, are figuring out what kind of kit they're carrying out there, what kind of fly rods, what kind of flies and poppers, and waders or boots or just that kind of gear. And I'm been sorting through this kind of stuff. So I've been working for few weeks actually, well, since we started talking about this, to gather some of the gear that I want to take And these pictures are different angles of the same thing. I just did them like this to make it look like more stuff. But it actually, I have actually got more stuff. There's a lot of stuff I'm sorting through. But I used to go on trips like this, and I would take uh, a professional camera bag size of 35 millimeter camera gear and telephoto lenses and camera bodies and flashes and just that kind of stuff. But I'm emptying out my old camera bag and am rebuilding it now to carry this kind of stuff. And so what you see laying there are two action camera, what they call action cameras, or what's the other word they use for them? Well, we'll just say action cameras. I think there's another term, but GoPro. I have one as a GoPro, which everybody's probably heard about, and my other one is the same thing, but it was built. It's made by Olympus, the camera company Olympus, and I bought it actually before I ever had a GoPro because I liked it. I liked the looks of it. I liked their camera gear, and I thought I'm going to give it a try. And I found a good deal on it. Always looking for a deal. So I've got the little green guy here, and this is it on a small tripod. So for me, for taking a trip like this, I'm thinking, all right, how am I going to get the most video footage, and what are we going to am I going to have it on a tripod? Occasionally, maybe sitting down, and I've got your basic selfie stick, if you will, in a way. GoPro has been really working on this for some time. So this is an example of something they built that's a short convertible tripod. So this can be a selfie stick. And this one's got a ball head on top, so it's very flexible. So I'm taking this, but this also makes a small tripod, so I can stand it up. So hypothetically, and I hope this will do this, I can set the camera up on the bank of the creek or the river and just let it sit there and video while I'm doing something else. I may have one camera sitting up there, and I may take the other camera, and we will probably do something like this. Dave may have it on his head.
Yep.
So what I've got here is I've got a GoPro head mount, so we can put the camera here.
I use one of those for my GoPro.
It'd be, it'll look something like this without the tripod. Christy, do you have? I mean, you've used it some. Is it? This would be my first try fishing with something like this.
I've used
interfere with your fishing in any way?
It works well, but the thing about it is how old's your GoPro? Is it fairly old?
Brand new.
Okay, you want to have the horizon lock.
Yeah, I've got that,
because even though you'll have it on your head, you take picture or video with it, and then you go back and you check it, it'll be crooked. The horizon lock should help.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've actually been trying to study up on all that stuff again, refresh memories, and learn some things about this. I had to get a new camera because the GoPro I had before, which was I think a Hero 10 series, they number their stuff like that. I got it out on the last Wyoming trip to videotape some stuff while we were fossil hunting, and it quit. It just decided to give up the ghost. So I've been working with GoPro to get it replaced, and I did do that. So now I've got their latest and greatest of this series camera. This is a 13 Black, they call it. They've gotten other cameras now. They've gotten into the 360-degree vision stuff. There's several other smaller cameras that they're making, even smaller than this. But this is what we're using, and this camera, I've even got I even went to the point of putting what they call a media kit on this camera, and it's got this wind protector for the microphone. And I'm hoping is the one thing I don't have is remote microphone. So I'm hoping by carrying these on each other, on our heads, and on our that we'll be able to do enough that pick up enough uh, audio. I'm hoping. I'm still thinking about getting a microphone, a Bluetooth microphone set up for it. Just a little extra expense, so I haven't done that yet. But
For the
that's something
GoPro?
to think about, Dave. So anyway, this is what I've been sorting through and watching videos on, and I've actually got a couple of books by some experts about using this camera, and I'm hoping to get back into one of the things this trip's doing for me is rekindling this desire to do more travel logs and vlogs and that kind of stuff, which is why I got GoPros and action cameras to begin with, was to mount them on my motorcycle and take motorcycle trips. And most of you know I haven't been able to do that lately. So I haven't been doing a lot of work with my cameras, but that's going to change. So but I have all kinds of things. Here's another set of something that's playing here. This is a suction cup mount, so I'm hoping to put this on like the hood of the truck and try to act somewhat, get some videos of us going into these areas and kind of filming if we're driving in the back country and that sort of thing. So we'll see what comes out of it. But I hope that whatever I get is not because I don't have enough gear when it's all said and done. I could take a truckload of gear. I'll never have enough gear. I'd like to have about 5 or 6 different cameras, but I hadn't got to that point yet. Maybe someday. So I'm doing the best. We're going to do the best we can with 2 and a phone and see what we get from there. So that's part of what I've been gathering. Hopefully you don't hear my stomach growling. So this is one of the fish we're after. This is a Bonneville cut. Again, I don't know, Dave. I hope you guys can. Mark will be able to identify them, I'm sure, but I hope you guys have studied up on the fish because I don't know if I can tell them all apart or not. Probably ought to put an identification photo like this on my phone. But the cutthroat part comes from these red slashes that these fish all have somewhat in common. Some of them are different lengths, some of them are slightly different positions. I'm not even going to get into all that. You'll see some differences here in a minute, but otherwise, these fish generally have a similar spotting pattern. But there's once you start learning about fish, they may look alike, but this fish dorsal fin is a little different from say this fish's dorsal fin, or this small rear dorsal, which I'm not sure what the name of that one is. Yeah. The tail may not have as deep a V in it. The spot pattern is a little different, smaller spots. Like this guy's got less spots, but they're larger. I mean, there's just all kinds of things to tell them apart. But these are the fish. That was the what did I say? Bonneville. This is the Colorado River cutthroat, and these are images that the state of Wyoming has got on their website. So I'm going by what they've got. But different times of year, some of these fish have different colorations. During spawning periods, the males tend to get more color. The reds tend to get brighter. There's all kinds of metamorphosis going on, and so they change at different parts of the season. Yeah. Snake River cutthroat is number 3. That's a really good picture. And notice how small the spots are on it. See, that's a big difference. And then the Yellowstone cutthroat is number 4. Body shape and length and how the fish is put together. The tail V's, the spotting patterns, the coloration, the slash, the cutthroat part, as they say, all those things help identify these fish when you catch them. And this is what the certificate looks like. When you get it, it has, I couldn't read this. This is this is Wyoming's website. Oh, I didn't know there's pouches here. I mean, not pouches, patches. I didn't see that before. Wyoming Cutt-slam. I hope to see you guys with these. That one's got all the names of all four of the fish, and this one in memory of Ron Remnant. I didn't know that either. Father of the Slam. Well, that's cool.
Those are medallions, it looks like.
Maybe they're medallions. Yeah, okay. Maybe they're not patches. Maybe they're medallions.
Great. And I should, Tim's earlier map actually alluded to this, but I guess I should say, oftentimes when we go on a trip, let's say Arkansas, the White River, we're just fishing that river, right? Here, there's at least 5 different rivers, tributaries to those that we're going to be fishing. So part of the logistics, part of the trick here is to be able to work through this list and constantly, if you will, keep moving, right, Tim?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good point, Dave, because we're gonna base ourselves out of Kimmerer, where Dave and Shannon have a house rented or rented, and an Airbnb, I believe. And I'm probably gonna be staying with Mark most of the time, and he lives just a few miles from there. But we're gonna get together every morning if we don't, and sometimes we may spend the night so we can get an early start. But we're probably gonna be hitting the road early in the morning, driving to these different watershed areas as they were depicted in that map. And if you guys will, well, I'm not going to go all the way back to that right now. It wouldn't matter, but we're going to be traveling around the different rivers and literally different parts of the state, all in the western end of the state. Mm-hmm. And some of them, we won't be trying to fish that whole area. And let me go back to that map for a minute. Bear with me, guys, here. We're not necessarily going to be all over this yellow spot up the top of here for the Yellowstone Cut. We're going to be working this area right here. And in fact, you could probably put a circle around this pink, green, yellow, bluish part of the state. And that's where we're mainly going to be fishing out of. And those watersheds and those streams, that's where these fish live, and that's where we're going to be looking for them. Now, fish don't know what maps are, and fish don't have maps, and they don't look at maps, and they don't have GPS, so they're all in. Some of them, you might have one river here that's got 2 or 3 of these fish in it. So it really just depends on the location, but we will be moving around some. And, if things go well and we pick up these 4 fish early in the week, we'll probably go out and do some other kind of fishing. Yeah. The plan is at this point is to, just go fishing for other stuff. It's not just, doesn't have to be just these 4, but these 4 will get you that certificate and those medallions. And that's kind of what we're shooting for in this particular trip. But yeah, we'll be traveling around. And I put on my chart, I said on this list, earlier, I didn't get to that. And I said, at the end, no, be prepared to go home really tired, because a trip like this, you're going to end up being, we call these vacations sometimes, but they're adventures, and to move around and do all this and cover this much ground can be tiring. So by the time we get on an airplane to head back to East Tennessee, I suspect we'll be ready to take a nap. That's just my guess. I could be wrong. But we're also going to do a few other things while we're out there, not to get straight too far from the fishing part. But, I'm sure that before it's over with, especially if we get lucky and catch the fish early enough in the week, we'll probably do some fossil hunting. We'll probably do some sightseeing. I know Mark's already mentioned taking the guys up to show them like parts of the Oregon Trail and some grave sites that he's discovered along the Oregon Trail that are, um, our forebears or ancestors or whatever traveled the trail. They didn't all make it, and they're out there just in unmarked graves. They're just graves along the trail. Nobody knows who they are or when they were, passed away. Or it's just all history and interesting. So hopefully we'll get to do some of that too. And so that's the end of what I had here, Dave. Ken or Chris, if you would, why don't you change the camera now? We're going to change the camera, guys, and we're going to zoom in on Dave's fly time vise that you see in front of him there. And we are going to, let me turn this off. And whenever you're ready, and when you get it set up, Ken, there you go, or Chris, there you go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to present Dave on the big screen like this. And wow, look at that, guys. I mean, can you guys see? Hey, Dave, let me check out my chat here a minute. Dave's Disney Dreams has come in. John Surfbum, good welcome, sir. John went on a big fishing trip last week. Dave, he went out, I can't remember now. He'll have to tell me again. It was either 60 or 90 miles off the coast of New Jersey and went fishing.
Wow.
Different kind of fishing, but fishing nonetheless. But look at that picture. I told these guys, it's just amazing how clear that is and how magnified that is. And it's just, I love it. I'm absolutely enthralled. And if my wife's still here, she needs to cover up her ears because I'm sure before it's over with, I'm going to want one of these close-up cameras. Microscope, I believe. What do you call it, Chris? A microscopic camera or something?
USB microscope.
USB microscope, excuse me. Yeah, Carol, isn't that 90 miles offshore, yellowfin tuna and mahi-mahi, Dave? That's what they were after. And I think you guys were successful, weren't you, John? At least I know you told me you caught a few. Anyway, so Dave, tell us what we're looking at here.
Okay, so what we're getting back, one of the goals of this trip is what we call hopper dropper. Okay, and so what we're tying is a variety of grasshopper patterns in a couple different sizes. There's a lot of grasshopper patterns out there. This is really popular out west, and so we have patterns that are more suggestive, okay, of a grasshopper. This one's on that scale pretty realistic, and just to say a couple words that makes this so doable are three of the patterns that we're tying come with a foam cutter. Okay, we bought foam cutters to stamp out pieces and parts of this fly. So, and Tim, I'm not sure. Am I at the right camera here?
Yeah, I can see. We can see you on both.
Here's a box. Here's a set of 4 cutters. So it's going to be, this is the Thompson Supreme Hopper. 4 different cutters. It has the body, the leg, the pronotum, okay, that top part, and a wing cutter. So what I would do, so here I'm cutting in a molted foam. I'll show you that. You buy these at fly shops. We're buying a lot of foam at a Hobby Lobby or different places where we can get the foam. So with these cutters, the cutters are River Road Creations in Montana, a business a gentleman started. They're known now worldwide. So normally what we would be doing is just stamping out all of these pieces and parts. Okay, then we're going to put it together. I'll demonstrate this one for us for today. When we get back from the trip, we'll tie some more flies and really show what works. So to start this one, we're actually going to start it without the hook. We're going to insert here a gadget, and the gadget is called an extended body tool.
Dave, John was wondering about your fly vise, just to interrupt a moment. He wondered if that's a Renzetti.
It is. This is the Renzetti Traveler.
There you go, John. You were right on, buddy.
Absolutely. Really have enjoyed this vise over the years. It does. What makes the Renzetti, John, a little unique? It is a true rotary vise, meaning, get myself set up here. Here we go. Okay. If this were the hook, a true rotary vise, when I turn it, the plane of the hook stays in the same position. That's a true rotary vise. And those have become popular. What I've inserted here is an extended body tool. And we use this for mayfly bodies, a whole bunch of different stuff. So what we're going to do, and I'm using a Hopper Yellow 70 denier thread. We're going to keep this taut. So with the cutter, okay, what I have done is cut two pieces of 2 millimeter foam. Okay, this is pretty exact, and I am going to tie those two together using the extended body tool. So I have 2 pieces, 2 millimeters cut exactly. I'm going to put them in the tool. I'm going to line them up, and I'm going to start a thread wrap. 1, 2, 3. What I'm doing here is making the segmentations that a grasshopper has. Now, rather than show my thread wraps crisscrossing, which you could do, I'm going to take the thread, I'm going to go between the two. Okay, I've advanced the thread a little. Again, 1, 2, 3 wraps. Again, I'm hiding the crisscross. So all you're seeing actually then are the segmented body segments. So I'm going to do 4. Okay, now once I'm finished with that, I'm going to whip finish, means I'm just going to make a knot. So what I would actually typically do is sit here and do what you just saw. I would do that 10 for like 10 or 12 bodies. And I'm going to, we're not going to need the thread anymore. I have it secured. We're going to slide this off. Okay, so now we have the segmented body. Going to put it to the side. Now we're going to get a hook. And really what I'm thinking about with hooks, what I see with these patterns a lot, the foam, the foam takes up quite a bit of space. So what I want to make sure when I hook the fish, I have enough gap or gape, as they call it, to hook that fish even after the foam's in. So
Dave, what size hook is that in this
this
case?
is a size 8 hook. That gives
which is a big hook for
the
fly fishing.
the gap. But I'm tying, what the fish is going to see is actually a size 12 hopper. So really out there, they make these cutters, River Road Creations, all kinds of cutters, and they make them in different sizes. So if we were going somewhere else, as Tim said, there's some kind of Grand Slam for cutthroat over in Utah. Well, those hoppers there may be a size 10 or a size 8. They may be bigger. We would use cutters to tie that. I'm just going to lay a thread base here on our hook.
Chris, I don't know what you guys have been using in classes and when you're teaching fly tying classes like for Trout Unlimited things, but I can't imagine that this camera, this setup won't be in the future something you guys will be using. I just, again, the image and the quality of it is excellent.
So I bought a camera recorder gadget. I'm not Tim or Chris, so I call them thingamajigs and gadgets and whatnots. But a thing, right? And it kind of worked. It kind of worked.
Real quick, Tim, Dave, Shannon, Ken, and I all have a group text message that when time flies, we all text each other photos of our flies. Anyway, out of the 4 of us, Dave's photos always come out blurred or there's some kind of glare. I've actually given him some photo lessons. He's getting better.
And I've got to be honest. You know what I don't like about this technology is it's so good. It's going to show every single mistake I make.
But Dave, but the great thing is everybody watching doesn't know.
The fly looks good to me until I take a picture of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's ugly.
Well, you have been known to tie some, bad looking midges in the past. So
yeah, you and me both. I've still got a little tag. Let me get that thing. Okay.
And I don't know if you guys have figured this out. Maybe you just all assume that if it's somebody on my show, they're from this part of the world, they're probably hillbillies like the rest of us. But Dave is also from Eastern Kentucky and I guess Northeast Tennessee. So he's and Chris, are you also local? Originally, did you?
No, I'm originally from Erie County, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No wonder you talk a little bit different than us.
Chris got here. It's an interesting story. Chris got here. The Border Patrol wasn't working that day, and somehow he slipped into the South, and he's turned out to be a really good guy, so we cover for him in case he gets picked up out here.
Yeah, that's possible.
And gets deported back to Pennsylvania. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just lining this up. It's an extended body, right? So
Right.
I'm out. I'm going to put just a little bit of glue on here. Start seating this thing.
I'm going to center this camera a little bit more.
Okay, and I'm going to make it kind of like what we did. I'm going to make some thread wraps right here. Now it's time. I'm going to put the hopper legs on. Again, I've cut them, made a pile of them here.
Dave, does that material that you make the leg, does that come on a reel like in like yards at a
It's a
time?
flat.
Or?
It's a flat sheet of foam, and they come in different millimeters. So we started out
Oh, okay.
with the
Okay.
2 millimeters. That's made the body. 1 millimeter is going to make the legs. Okay, and you can see these legs have they're not molted. So what I'll do, I'll take a Sharpie. When you look at a hopper, you know they've got these colors on them. So I'm simply just going to, in no particular pattern, I'm with the brown Sharpie, I'm going to mark this up a little bit, make it look buggy.
Buggy, that's a fly time term,
Yeah,
technical
that's
speak here.
technical. That's like a thingamajig.
Yeah. I had a reputation when I was an airplane mechanic that one of my buddies used to make fun of me all the time because I would ask him for a tool or something. I'd say he'd want to know what, and I'd say, "Hand me that whatchamacallit up there. I need to do such and such," or "Hand me that." Uh, well, I somehow developed the term "goody humper." I'm not sure where that came from, but so he, for the rest of my, ever since, he's always laughed about my use of the language
A
in describing
doohickey.
different tools.
It's a doohickey.
It's a doohickey.
Thingamabobber.
It can be a whatchamacallit too.
Well, always a whatchamacallit.
Tina says, and who's a what's it?
That's it. I've heard that one before.
Okay. So this, anatomically, again, you're going to see when we get back together. We've tied flies, these hopper patterns with rubber band legs and all of this
Yeah.
stuff. This one particular is kind of anatomically more correct. So I'm going to get this is what really defines hoppers, these big back legs, right? The kickers.
That really looks good, Dave. I mean, that leg looks real.
Well, let's hope you think like a cutthroat.
Well, I
We
mean,
don't we
I'm
don't know.
impressed with I guess so you've got a flat sheet of foam, and then you use a cutter. You just press it through the foam and make that leg.
Right. So what we're going to do, you take that foam, they give you a little block. This is the coolest thing, right? And you put that foam down and just cut these things
I
out.
said, "Wow, oh, that is really good."
And we're ready to go. And I'll remember here, let me get this other tag. I'll cut off the access real quick. Color it up just a touch.
And
And I remember, the bottom, I'm upside down now. The bottom didn't have that. So I'm just going to put little brown spots, just to hopefully look like it's going to look like a hopper, and they're going to eat it. Okay.
And that's
go ahead,
no two of them are exactly alike, so you don't have to follow a real. I mean, it's not precise pattern. It's just like Dave was saying a minute ago, kind of randomly marking it up.
Yeah, and some of these patterns we're going to be using out there, kind of, sort of look like a hopper, but not to this detail. Now I'm looking at this fly, and I'm noticing one thing. See how those legs are splayed out? Well, that looks more like a frog. When you see the hopper, those legs are tucked in. So what I'm going to do is use a drop of glue. And I'll turn this up. I'm going to put it right behind that leg and just hold it down for a moment. And I'm trying to get a profile here that's going to trick that fish.
That's a good angle right there, Dave, because now we get kind of a fish's eye view of what that bug looks like floating on the water upside down. That's
and I do. I always think it's funny when we tie flies. There we go. We're up here oftentimes working, right? We tie this fly, but the trick is turn it up. That's what the fish sees.
Yep.
Okay, they're not seeing what I'm doing on top for this fly that stays on the top of the water, right?
Right.
Let me tuck this one in just a little. It looks pretty good. Okay, now we still have this foam up here. This is the head, and it's still separated. We're going to fix that right now, and what we're going to do, being a little bit here of a hurry, I'm going to put our glue on. I'm using a tool here called a Bachyan because the brush of the glue is a little thick. Now, before it dries for the last time, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back like we did on the body. Okay. Now we're connected. So we're at the head of the hopper. What else does a grasshopper have? Well, it has 6 legs. So let's tie. I'm going to use one. I'm just going to use one thin piece of rubber leg here. I'm going to tie it on my side, right behind the head. I'm going to pull it down.
Now I have another question, Dave. Does that leg material come with the stripes on it already, or did you have to color that also?
I get it all. That's a good question, and I get it already done. I'll show you that. They make this in all manners of colors and sizes. So we'll shift. This one happens to be yellow. Like I said, I'm going to tie this exact pattern in olive and in tan colors. And then again, we'll have other patterns too. We're going to tie a total of three different patterns. to go out there. And even some odd colors that tend to work. A pink, a kind of apricot color, even purple. Purple stuff can. Purple flies can work. We'll have a purple grasshopper. Now, I've never seen a purple grasshopper, but it does get their attention. So next we're going to tie the wing in. What I'm doing here, there's a wing cutter, and it really looks good. The material though that you use for the wing cutter doesn't do anything to aid in the floating of this. I'm going to use, like, this is Zelon, different kinds of material. Here's an example of pink, an EP fiber, some kind of that helps this float, because my concern here is at the bend of the hook, about 12 inches, 18 inches from the fly is another fly, right? And it's built to sink, but this hopper will have to support the weight of whatever I'm sticking off of it, hence the whole hopper dropper. So here we go. The wing's going to extend just past the body. Fish can see it. They do have a prominent wing. Let me clean my mess up here because I'm on a microscopic camera. Boy, that guy's sloppy if I don't do something. Okay.
That's the one thing about cameras there.
It tells the truth.
Yeah. You think it looks great, and you take a close-up photo of your fly, and then you're like nitpicking.
Let me put a drop here.
Well, the lucky thing about that is most of us don't know he's doing it wrong anyway, so we could just, as far as I'm concerned, it looks great.
He's doing fine.
But you're right. This camera, if you were in front of a bunch of pros, this camera is going to get you all kinds of comments, I'm sure, because the detail is exquisite.
That makes me nervous.
Oops, I spelled something wrong there, guys. Pardon my language, my fat thumbs. That was supposed to say and add some buoyancy, not ass.
It will. It'll add a little flotation. And you say, well, my goodness, you're tying with foam. And what I've learned in the cicada patterns that I tie, several foam patterns, I'm going to trim the legs here just a little bit. They're shorter. Is foam, while foam floats, it does not float like a cork, as people will say. You know what floats like a cork?
A cork.
A cork. It's kind of like people say, well, it's like riding a bicycle. The only thing like riding a bicycle is riding a bicycle. It just doesn't always work. Okay, we've got that. The last piece here is a pronotum. It's kind of like when you see a grasshopper, it's got this, almost looks like a shell, right? Over it. So this, these cutters even account for that. So I'm going to place this right on, and then we've done it. Let me get some glue. Make sure my legs are down where they need to be.
Dave, is that razor foam?
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and rubber legs. Michelle was asking a question about the materials and things. Rubber legs give a lot of action on the water when you're making a topwater bug. You want it to not only look like something the fish or want to eat, but you want it to move. You want it to have some action. And rubber legs on the water give all kinds of action. It sort of makes them look like a bug really trying to crawl on the water, or maybe get off the water before something eats it or whatever. But
That's right.
if you see them, and once you see one in a fly or a lure in the water, you'd understand that it does make a big difference.
Yeah, it does. You're 100% right. It gives it some movement, and you kind of got to think about a grasshopper. It's a terrestrial.
Right.
It didn't want to land in the drink, right? It was jumping. It hit the water mistakenly, and it's in trouble, and it knows it's in trouble, right? So it's frantic. It's moving. So anything we can do to add a little life to these patterns, that's a good thing. Whip finish, meaning I'm just going to make a knot.
Hey Dave, can I just make a side note about those rubber legs? They also act like a outrigger for the fly, meaning it.
Good point, Chris.
Keeping it from rolling over in the water. It keeps it kind of level.
That's a good point, because just like Dave was saying, in this case the grasshopper doesn't want to be on the water, and they're going to be holding themselves upright by using surface tension in their legs in the water to do that. So that's good, because you do want it to look like it's trying to swim away. You want it to look like it's trying to get a purchase on something and take off again.
And what I'll do with these rubber legs oftentimes is I will keep them a little long. And sometimes it seems like the fish like that exaggerated. But if they don't, if they're shying away, I carry a pair of scissors in my vest. I'll trim in the field. And sometimes, believe it or not, that can make a difference. I'm going to put a couple brown spots on that pronotum.
Excuse me, Dave. Hey, Tim, I just heard back from Ken. He said, sorry, I dozed back off.
Well, somebody we know's got good sense. He's getting some rest this morning.
And folks, that's it. That's the Tom Sue Supreme Hopper. Again, when we get back, and Tim's going to have footage, but we'll do another session. We'll do more of the hoppers in different colors. We'll do the things that we're tying off the back, and we'll focus on what worked well for this trip. A lot of thought goes into pairing up. And proper.
Dave, do you want to explain a little bit about the dropper, or I can sit here and talk about it a little bit while you're doing that, while you're finishing up, or whichever.
Yeah. But so when you see the hook point, okay, what we're going to be doing is tying. So here's the hook eye. So we tie it on. Okay, so it's going up to the rod. Then this bend of the hook, we make a knot, tie another piece of monofilament on to the hook, right? About 1'18". What we're going to do then is tie on another fly. It's going to be subsurface. It's
why don't you take one out and put it in place?
It's these. You see there's beads on. So it's going to sink. It's going to be riding subsurface. Now, the only way I'm going to know with the dropper, if they hit the dropper, what's going to happen? They're going to sink the hopper. The hopper and that in that application, this becomes the indicator, the strike indicator. When it goes,
Yeah, it's like a bobber.
Yeah.
Think about it.
when it
In
goes
fly fishing,
down,
it's a strike indicator.
I've got a hit. I set the hook. It's on the dropper, and so
that dropper is
we're trying to catch them. You think about trout, it'll be fun. Catch them on top, see them rise into these hoppers, and that's what we want. But we know 80% of the trout's diet is actually subsurface. We tie all these dry flies, and dry fly fishing's a lot of fun, and that's what we do a lot of. But having that other one, it may be, there may be a mayfly out west, a PMD, that's pale morning dun, might be a mayfly coming off. Well, we'll have the nymph to that, and so hopefully we can get hookups on both. Anything else, Tim, you wanted to add on?
No, that's we talked about the droppers and things, and I didn't know if people really understood what that was. And that the lure that's on that dropping line that's going underwater has nothing to do with the grasshopper. It's not part of the grasshopper. It's the grasshopper's not laying an egg. It's not like that. It's technically a separate lure in and of itself under the water. It just gives that extra chance, and like Dave was saying, the fly or the hopper in this case, actually helps the subsurface lure bounce around, because the top's moving, it makes the bottom jingle. I mean, the whole thing works together to try to get them to hit one or the other, and that the bottom, the dropper's also on them. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but it'll be a much smaller hook.
It'll be a much smaller hook. It'll be a smaller monofilament, the line, because you see this when we're looking at this. Wow, it wouldn't take a huge diameter line. But the thing is, we're coming back, we're fly casting, it's going to be catching air. So a little stouter of a leader to get what we call the turnover, i.e., to make it land proper on the water. But the dropper, we'll have it on a less diameter, more camouflaged line as well. So hopefully this is the combination that's going to get it done.
Dave, well, first, one question. I think I know the answer, and you may have already said it, but I mean, basically, this lure is complete. This fly, this hopper. Right? Am I right? Okay. So, do you have anything else there you want to tie up while we're still here? I mean, you want to tie up a cicada or something that
I don't have it ready. I thought I would just do the one, and then when we get
that's fine.
Together, we'll definitely do more. I wasn't sure about timing.
That's perfect. I mean, that's good. I just wanted to ask. I think I'm gonna put me back on the screen. Chris, you want to reverse the camera again, if you don't mind?
And, and for upcoming dates, if people enjoy this is a lot of fun to me. Chris and I, we get together all the time and tie. We tie with other folks. If this is an interest and somebody might have a pattern they would like to see tied, shoot it to Tim. Would be glad to do any and all of that. We tie a lot in the winter. We try to fill boxes up anticipating the spring. So yeah, don't hesitate. If there's something you want to see, holler. We're happy to do it.
So, Dave, I've recently realized that I had some tools at my disposal that I didn't know I had. So, here's congrats for your a little appreciation of what you've been doing for us here.
It's applause.
Little applause there, Dave. Thank you. I didn't realize that I had the, we could do this. I didn't feel like that was appropriate.
Wow.
Because you did such a good job. I guess I didn't know it was going to keep going that long. I just realized I've just discovered those a week or so ago, and was doing something last week.
That's more what I'm used to. Much better. I just crashed the burns.
Just to show you how talented I am, that's actually two separate sounds that I managed to put together because I thought that would be the perfect, cartoon sound. But anyway, well, guys, I really appreciate all this. I tell you, it's Dave. We're down to, I think, 2 weeks from today. We're going to be hopping on that big jet plane and heading west. So it's not that far off.
It is not. There's a lot to still be done. A lot to tie. Getting the gear situated, making sure what gear goes in what bag, what's getting checked, what we're carrying on, and those rules, it's kind of dynamic. I so far have not had a problem with carrying on already tied flies on a plane. I do hear from people that on occasion you can run into somebody that just doesn't like them. Okay. If that were to happen, we're talking about pre-planning today would be to run it back to the bag and just check them. Although I would, we'll probably be carrying, I don't know, 150 or so flies. That's something we wouldn't want to become separated from if the luggage got lost, right?
Right, exactly. And what Dave's referring to there is things like the hooks are pointy and sharp, and you never know if you got the wrong agent or the wrong person standing in line at the TSA, they might think that's too dangerous to take on the airplane. But
That's right.
Hopefully that won't be an issue. And that, as silly as that kind of sounds, it can happen. So you just never know about these things.
You don't, and there's always things to buy out there. So we're cognizant. We're going to need, one of the questions in pre-planning, we talked about this, Tim, the other night, biting insects, repellent, and it's even recommended, and correct me, Tim, if I'm wrong, recommended where we're going to have bear spray. And
it is.
Obviously, that's something they're not going to let me strap to my side and get on a plane with. So there'll be things like that, right, to pick up and take into account those type mosquitoes and other biting insects.
Right.
It could damper the trip if not prepared, right?
Correct. Hey, somebody just stepped in. Nico, welcome in, buddy. That's okay if you're late. Go back and rewatch the show after a while and watch Dave tie up a hopper here that we're taking out to Wyoming for part of the fishing trip. Oh, that my yeah. Part Dave, what Dave just alluded to. Part of the area where we're going to be fishing, I think, for the Yellowstone uh, species, the Yellowstone cutthroat, I believe, is in part of what you could call Wyoming's grizzly bear habitat. And while I don't, when you don't probably not going to see one or run into one, that possibility does exist. So, once we get out there, we're probably all going to get us a can of bear spray to hook on our belt. And I don't know about they used to, the old joke used to be the put bells on your shoes so the bears hear you coming, they'll go away. And they always could find they had how'd that work? The bear spray and the jing. Somehow you could tell, but find a lost hiker by the bear had bells and it's you could hear it jingling when it walked and it smelled like pepper spray. But and I can't remember how that went now.
Tim, when we used to fish up in the Smokies, I carried a little, and they make them these little tiny pocket-sized air horns.
I'm sorry, say that. A pocket size what?
Air horns.
Oh, air horns. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're
I've
talking
had
about.
some
I
black
used to have
bears.
one of those.
I've had some on several occasions. Black bears follow me back to my car.
Yeah, that's a good point, Chris. People don't think about that in the Smokies because the bears you tend to see on YouTube or on somebody's Instagram or their TikTok is some bear that somebody thinks it's fun to feed and it looks tame, but they're not tame. And that's a good point. Michelle, you asked a question: how many people are going? Well, I guess you could say three of us are going. One of us is already out there, so four. And Nico just mentioned that he has a friend in Montana that's had elk meat taken by bears on occasions, and that does happen. So we're going to be careful about that. We will plan ahead as far as what we might call bear bait, not carrying anything in maybe into the woods with us that's going to attract a bear, and then um, we probably I don't know that we're going to be bringing anything back, Michelle. These will be catch and release, and we'll document each fish that's caught via cameras and do. I mean, it's basically that kind of system. So we're not really going on a trip to bring back fish. Now, Dave, when you go, sorry guys about my voice. When you go down to the Bahamas, do you ever bring back fish, or the Louisiana coast, or do you?
I never do. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just a catch and release. Now, when Shannon goes to Alaska with salmon fishing, there's so much he's allowed to bring back. You pay for the carton, dry ice, you get it home. So that's not uncommon. That's not a bad thing. I typically do not.
Now, Mark mentioned, and so this on that same note, Michelle, there may be some species that we catch if we get time, or we just happen to catch that are kind of on that list of gourmet gourmet type fish species. So we may have some fish that we keep and eat while we're out there. That's a very good possibility, and actually kind of expect to do that, and probably maybe some crawdads while we're out there. But the so that we may eat some fish on the spot, but we won't be flying home with any in this case. And the trout the cutthroat that we're looking for will be catch and release. Those we're not planning on keeping. So, I mean, there are plenty of some of these fish are on the scarce side. but there are other trout and things out there that can be caught that are, that are raised, and I don't want to say that they expect you to have some take, and people take them home and eat them, certainly.
And
Cabin, Michelle, in this case, no real camping unless we decide to go somewhere and sleep in the truck one night, so we're there at daybreak. You never know about something like that. I've had to do something like that more than once in my life, but we're not planning on that in that case. But Dave and Shannon have a Airbnb rented in Kimmerer, Wyoming, and I always try to add that extra in there because there is one. Mark lives just outside of Kimmerer, and actually in a little place. If you look on a map, it's right beside a little town called Opal, or Opal, as most people would say, but it's Opal out there. So that's where his house is, and that's where I go when I'm out there to visit. And but we're all going to be staying in the same part of the country. Nico said he cooked up a bunch of crawdads last year. Just can't transport them alive here. That's a good point, Nico. I've gotten them. Phil brought some home one time from Louisiana, and how did he do that? He probably had them on ice too, but it seems like they were in. Well, maybe he cooked them ahead of time. Maybe they were already cooked. But you can get them down there. You buy them. I think I don't know if Jason is still with us, but in Louisiana, you can go buy crawdads in like gunny sacks or burlap bags by the pound, and take them home or wherever you're going and cook them up. They're still alive and kicking until you get them in the water.
Oh, we lost Dave.
But yeah, we lost Dave for a minute. That's okay. Anybody else? Anybody else has a question or a comment? We've still got a little bit of time. And Dave, Chris, and Dave, if you guys need to step away, you're welcome to do so at any time. And like I said, this trip starts in 2 weeks from today. So by this time in the morning, 2 weeks from now, we'll be there.
Yeah, what time is
we're leaving? I think our flights leave what, Dave, 6:30, or before that, or 5:30. Early, I know that.
5:30, we're getting there.
Yeah.
I tell you, we are so excited about this trip. We're talking about logistics. Tim and I will be flying together, both going and coming. Our friend Shannon, who is east of here, Johnson City, Bristol, Kingsport area, he will fly differently, separately. We will all hook up in Dallas, Fort Worth going, okay? And then coming back differently. Tim and I will actually get home earlier, but it'll be a good opportunity for some sightseeing and some things to do once we land. Once we land, we'll get the rental car, and the adventure will begin.
Yeah. Carol, she probably will be glad to get me out. She's usually pretty happy when I'm not around for a few days, so you're probably right about that.
All this talk about crawdads, now I'm hungry.
But yeah, we're Dave and I are flying out of Knoxville. Shannon's flying out of Tri-Cities, and I could have. It's about 6 of one, half a dozen of the other for me. I could have flown out of Tri-Cities. I didn't. I don't know. Maybe if I do this again, I might. But I just always preferred to go out of Knoxville. Tri-Cities is starting to have more flights now, so that is always a possibility. But thank you, Michelle, for coming by. You have a great rest of your weekend. Say hello to Hannah and Gabe for us. Hope they're doing well. I forgot what. But But yeah, I think Chris is involved in the speaking of logistics. I do believe that Chris is going to give us a hand with the final leg into the airport, so we don't have to worry about parking a car down there or anything.
Yeah. I only live 5 minutes from the McGee Tyson, so
We are pretty close. Yes, they are, Nico. They can act like it. They're going to be sad while you're gone and everything, but I'm pretty sure that when I'm away, my wife throws parties. At least she enjoys herself. I know that. Just quiet, and she don't have to cook dinner, and she doesn't have to worry about me asking about what's for supper or what are we cooking. Not that I don't ever help, but you know I think she appreciates me being gone for a little while, not too long. I was trying to think if there was anything else here.
For
got,
for logistics, one thing that I now have to that I think about is I have a dog. Her name's Althea, but making sure she's taken care of, which kind of has evolved to a house sitter, is just where we're at here. Not that the house needs sitting, but the dog needs taken care of, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's we don't think sometimes we don't think about that kind of stuff when people are talking about planning a trip, but it all comes into it's all part of it. In my case, I'm leaving cats. Brenda's going to be here to take care of them. In Dave's case, there won't be anybody there. So, are you using the same sitter you used last time, Dave? Or
Yeah, thankfully, because that's made the trip. It's little things like that. A lot of moving parts and pieces. Getting things situated for when she's here watching Althea. So I know things are well taken care of at home. That's always something that can go awry on a trip. I knew a guy that went on a vacation. He had just a great vacation. He came home, but while gone, the house decided to spring a leak somewhere.
oh no.
Come home to a horrible mess after a great vacation. So,
Yeah, that happens.
It does happen.
That's a good point. Some of those things I guess you just have to write off to either bad luck or I don't know, bad spirits or something. You can't always some of that stuff you can't predict, and it just
No.
that is part. But that's part of the. I don't know. I can't say it's part of planning a trip, but it certainly is part of coming home after one.
I was telling Tim, you told the story well, but the disastrous last trip that I was on, and I was telling someone what had happened, and his comment back to me, and I think well said, it was, well, you never know what's going to happen until you go. I mean, yeah, you have to go, right? And
well, that's true.
We keep going. What do we do when we get home from Wyoming? Well, we start planning the next adventure, and you don't know until we do it. Always sure about a trip like this. Everything's not going to go as planned. And something that I think about, I'm careful with the people I plan a trip with, right?
Right.
Everybody doesn't have the demeanor and the what it takes when you're on the side of the road with the flat tire It's kind of, you know, working and how you take these things into account, and you get along when things are happening that wasn't on the schedule. So there are few people I travel with, and I'm excited about this current group of people for sure.
Yeah, that'll be. I mean, I think I've told the story before. It's along those lines of driving home one time from Florida with helping some friends transport back after a school year. They were teaching down there. In the middle of the night, we were coming over Spivey Gap or coming out of North Carolina into Tennessee back when it was all two lanes and narrow and not no interstates, and
Yep.
had a flat tire coming over the mountain, and there we were in the middle of the night, and uh, pitch dark and no street lights and no no traffic, and so we were pretty much on our own, and fortunately we had somebody said, well, we've got candles, because they just so happened they'd been making sand candles to sell at an upcoming street fair that we had in Jonesboro. And so we set candles up around. It looked like probably a Satan worshiping scene or something if somebody drove up on it. But we had candles. We had sand candles set up all around the car, and we jacked it up one corner at a time and stacked rocks underneath it, which is again not something you don't see in some hillbilly's yard somewhere. I'll guarantee you, there's a car sitting on blocks somewhere, and jacked it up and moved tires around and fixed the flat and drove back down the mountain. So it pays to know who you're traveling with sometimes to,
Yeah.
know that somebody there's got the candles and somebody else knows how to stack rocks, I guess. You just never know about these things.
Hey Tim, you know who's really excited about this trip is Shannon. He's already tied 300 flies for this trip.
Oh, wow. Well, now Shannon's in his defense, he's been planning. I think he's been thinking about this trip for quite a while.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
and been, I mean, way beyond when he and I've ever talked about it. Because just from what I've heard Dave say about it, this is something Shannon's really
Yeah.
been looking forward to for quite some time, and now he's getting a chance to do it, which I'm really glad that I'm helping facilitate that. You can't imagine how much I hope these guys catch the fish they're looking for, and we can just. I'm just really looking forward to that. I I I think the look on Shannon's face if he catches number 4.
Yeah.
And we're talking about it like it's a given thing, but it's not. Uh, we could go out there and get skunked,
Yeah.
or we could go out there and not catch the fish we're looking for. That's the risk you take with fishing.
Yeah,
Uh,
native trout are really spooky, so
they can be very spooky,
mhm.
and sometimes they just don't bite, and that's just the bottom line. But we're thinking positive, and Mark's very, well, again, he can't go out there and release the fish where we can catch them, where you guys can catch them. But he's, he's confident. He feels sure we're going to get them. He's caught all these fish, and he's been to these rivers before.
Yeah.
So that's a huge bonus in our case that we've got somebody that has that background and with these animals, and not that Nico says our trout don't love to bite. Not that there's any kind of inside influence or not, but Mark's got a daughter-in-law who just so happens to all still be in the business, and so she kind of has pretty good idea where the fish are or aren't, and
Mhm.
that'll help too. So all that stuff kind of goes together to
Yeah.
hopefully make for a very successful trip, but we'll see.
Mhm.
I don't want to, you always hate to. Maybe you guys don't think this way. Maybe this is my negativity in my life, but I've always tried not to be too positive until something happened, just in case it didn't. But
Yeah.
in this case, I'm feeling pretty good about it. So we'll see.
you get, and two, with a trip like this, I talked to somebody that made this trip several years ago and was successful, but really had to work at it because, as could happen to anyone on a trip, you could get in, and they did, in a drought situation, which is low water levels, very clear, fish spooky, um, or the opposite. You could get there and too much water, and you have a problem there too. And I mean, you're already there. Um, Thinking about the trip to New York, we're already there. So the lodging had already been paid for. All of this stuff, whether you have a good trip or not, it's all it's all been factored in, and it's tough when it just can't work out, right?
That's right. Carol said that her son was fishing last week and caught some pike, and then he was trying to get the hook out of one, and one of them bit him. I guess he's got quite the jagged little bite marks on his fingers, and that's true, Nico or Carol. He might want to change how he's doing that. Maybe get a pair of needle nose pliers or something. Pike do have a mouthful of teeth. Most of the time, people don't think about fish having a lot of teeth unless they're sharks or a barracuda or something. But there's a lot of fish out there that
trout
can
even
actually bite
teeth,
down on you.
Yeah.
Trout have teeth, but they're real tiny.
Trout have teeth. Yeah, I think you could actually see that earlier on some of those. I don't know if those were actual drawings or photographs. They look like photographs, but that's stuff that the state put up to show examples of the fish, and you could actually see the teeth if you look. But that's not something you worry about too much in their case. But you can always, but you can drag your hand across one and cut yourself or get some bite marks, if you will. You just got to be kind of careful about that kind of thing. We're not too worried about that. The only thing with teeth that we should have to worry about will be those grizzly bears, but I really don't think that's going to be a problem. That's just, you go out west, that's just something you deal with. Nico or somebody mentioned earlier about hunting in Montana and bears becoming a problem. And if you were catching trout, I've heard of people throwing their trout up on the bank or catching fish and throwing them up on the bank to keep them until they can get ready to, load them up and take them out. And that can draw critters. Bears can come in for things like that. So that shouldn't be an issue either. But we'll be careful about that when we're in bear country. We won't be in bear country every day. Well, I guess hypothetically they could be anywhere, but and they do have black bears, but not. I don't know what the density is, but they do have a few grizzly bears in that one area, so we'll have to be cautious of that. But don't you and the other bears have it? Yeah, we do, Tina, but I don't talk about that. I have a non-disclosure agreement with them, so we don't talk about it too much.
Yeah.
But but there's also another thing that we don't talk about too much in public, and that's, if there is a bear, all those guys have to do is run away fast, because I can't run away fast, so basically I'm bear bait. So all they have to do is outrun me, which is not a problem. Thank you, Carol, for coming by. We really appreciate it. Guys, I guess we can wind this thing down. And Dave, Chris, I really appreciate everything you guys did to set this up. Great setup, and I really appreciate that.
I mean, other than me trying out at home on my computer, I was unsure how it would turn out. I'm glad it turned out such great quality as far as video.
I think it turned out quite well. I'm really impressed with it. I see a I see a future of that in my life, or I see that in my future. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll when I get home, I'll email you the link for that.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. I have seen, on a slightly different note, but similar, I've seen borescopes, like for gun barrels, to look down a barrel of a rifle, or a mechanical to stick down in the engine of your car. And, they make those now where you can hook them to your phone, just like this camera, and you can get a real, up close view of what's going on inside, like you're inside of your car or combustion chamber, or down in the gearbox, or just things like that you used to have to use is that what it looks like?
Yeah.
Now, does it have a stand? I assume it has a stand.
It comes with a stand that sticks that has a sticky thing on it. It's all right, but there's a separate one that I bought that it's a lot bigger. Can you hold it up in front of the?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
completely adjustable.
Yeah,
so
but the one.
Yeah.
Actually, I have the one that it comes with.
Part of the.
I have things similar to that here.
The one it comes with looks like this. It has a sticky bottom, but it doesn't. The other one's more adjustable as far as height and that, because this thing's really short.
I could see that. I can see you guys doing, like I said, your classes with something like that would be. I don't know what you've used in the past, and I can't be critical of that. Maybe you've already got something, but man, if you were trying to teach a class full of people about fly tying, I don't see how you could get much more detail than that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, it's good because it's not a lot of microscopic things like that, or macro focus, don't tend to have much depth of field. So you just kind of see what you're focused on. You don't get you don't get much depth. And with this, you can see the whole fly, and you get a really good view of it. I'm impressed. For a simple thing, it's quite good quality. I guess that just shows how much things have changed.
Yeah, and here, if there were some benefit, Tim, and I don't know, but you could actually angle this thing up out of the looking straight down. Any fly tying video you see is at the angle you all just saw it at, right? It's looking towards the tire.
Right.
But here there could be different angles for different applications for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, Dave, don't go anywhere just yet. I'm going to say bye, and I'm going to stop the stream, but I want to talk to you just for a moment. But guys, everybody that's out there, thanks for coming in today. I do hope you've enjoyed it. We're looking forward to it. So there'll be one more show before I hit the road, and then I'll be off for a couple of weeks until we get back into town. And at some point, there's going to be some video of our trip. We'll see how I do on that. We'll keep your fingers crossed, but we're going to give it a hell of a shot anyway. So thanks again, guys. Dave, Chris, you guys, everybody in the chat, thanks for being here, and see y'all again next week.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Don't go anywhere.
Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate it.
Oh, no. Yeah. Thank you. And don't go anywhere just yet. I'm going to shut down. Bye, guys.